What do you think of Trump with all this? Do you think what might he do? I mean, it seems to me he doesn't. I mean, obviously, he's first.
Are you going to? Well, first of all, I want to ask you: are you voting for Biden at this?
Well, let me say, I am not voting for Trump.
Right, but you're not going to say you're voting for Biden.
Well, I also live in D.C. I don't know.
I coined a phrase.
Mickey Kaus would say, "Don't rush me."
I coined a phrase: the neither Trumpers, which is people who are sick of the Democrats and can't possibly vote for them, and are not and can't get on the Trump train.
I can't vote for an unhinged lunatic to be president of the United States, and I dread a lot of what the Democrats are doing and have become captive to. So, yeah, I'm in a lovely situation. But look, that's life.
Yeah.
I'm not the only person in this democracy, and other people have a say. And look, I had Pope Francis and Barack Obama for 8 years. I mean, that's enough for a lifetime. I had Reagan and Thatcher together. I mean, I was locked out for a long time. Now I'm in the worst of all possible worlds, but that's partly because of some of the mistakes I myself made. But I have a feeling, even though Trump basically seconded his foreign policy with Israel to literally the West Bank settlers via his son-in-law who finances settlements, I also tend to think, as he's recently said, they need to wrap this up. That if there were a decent bunch of Palestinians who say we want Trump would like to make a deal.
Yes,
and he's not. I mean, who knows? But he's not a neocon.
No,
I mean Jared is obviously, but he's not. And there might come a point where he's like, oh fuck it, you do what we say.
I don't know that Jared. I wouldn't know that I would say that Jared's a neocon. I don't think the Abraham Accords were a particularly neocon thing, and I actually.
Do you think they might have precipitated Hamas's action?
No. Well, I mean, people say they did it to scuttle the Saudi deal.
Well, yeah.
I think
they were basically written out of everything. They were told, bye-bye, we're doing all these deals with you. And of course their response is, how do we get ourselves back at the center of attention? How do we put ourselves back into the conversation? Now, I'm not saying that makes Israel responsible for what they did. I just think it may one of the factors that explains why they did what they did. I mean, with Hamas, it's just because Allah is telling him to do it that morning. But that's also a possibility.
I think that, well, what the reporting has been that the external leadership of Hamas didn't know about it. The Iranians, it's unclear. There have been some reports saying they did or not, but I think that they did it because they're demons. I mean, I just think it's like, I don't know. I mean, it's like trying to understand, like, why did Ulrike Meinhof decide to join the Red Army or form the Red Army faction? Well, I mean, she provides us a lot of writing about it, but I think at the end of the day, there was something that was sort of off in her mind, in her brain, and it's like I don't want to.
But what about Trump? What does your gut tell you about him?
I mean, there were elements of his foreign policy that I liked, but there were elements of his foreign policy that I hated. I thought he abandoned the Kurds to the Turks, which was a terrible thing to do, and also cost us our credibility. I think he's way too transactional. I think that there's a great danger that he would feel an affront from an Israeli leader for whatever reason.
Well, he has, right?
That
Netanyahu called Biden to congratulate him on being elected.
Exactly.
And Trump is still smarting over this.
Yeah, right.
So Trump could actually fuck the Israelis for a purely random.
Well, that's what I'm
win.
saying, and that's not good. But then I look at the Democrats, and I'm like, why are you putting so much pressure on Israel not to go into Rafah at this point when the end goal is good for everybody? And
I think they should pressure to do it right.
Are they pressuring to do it right? Because the latest line from the State Department is they just shouldn't go in. So, I mean,
I don't know the logistics of all this. I don't know, because I'm not sitting there looking at war plans, how long it would feasibly last, how many civilians could conceivably be killed, how effective you could evacuate people out of there, although I do think that would be the case. I certainly think that providing much more aid and support for Palestinian civilians after you evacuate them is a good PR thing to do and a good basic moral thing to do. And isolate these crazy assholes and kill as many of them as you can. But avoid killing thousands and thousands of children.
I listen. I agree, and it's
There's nothing
I don't
to make
like
people
I don't like
more angry to Israel than the fact that Israel killed their entire fucking family.
Of
You
course.
think those people are not going to want to join Hamas or something even more radical than Hamas?
as I said, sometimes if you really lose a war, that can also be a catalyst for great change. If you inflict this kind of damage only to have more of the frozen conflict, you're absolutely right. You will create another generation of terrorists.